Reggie.
Reggie's back.
Smoking dust with Reggie in the alley.
Hey, Reg, I'll go with you to Epcot Center for the Captain Neo ride. I'm good.
I'm good, dog.
I'm good, dog. Man, you're good.
Finally found me, huh, big dog?
Wait. Thought we were splitting that 8-ball together, homie.
Welcome to a very special episode of
Into the Night podcast.
I am DJ Villain, and with me, as always, is my beautiful co-host,
PBK, the goddamn phone book killer. God damn!
Today, we are going to be talking about a local Necropolis legend.
When the music's still playing.
Yeah.
The Harvey Dent Schoolhouse.
Here in the Necropolis, a.k.a. the Dent Schoolhouse.
Yes, that's right.
Which operates not only as a local myth and legend here in the Necropolis, but also as a haunted house attraction during the month of October and a little bit into late September. We had the beautiful pleasure of going there. What was that, last year?
Halloween?
Last Halloween.
Forever ago.
So, yeah, forever ago.
Yeah.
But we had a pretty good time.
On a whim, and it was dope.
Yeah.
And I don't regret getting the fucking like $30 tickets.
Yeah.
For
so
it,
let's talk about the haunted house first and foremost.
Sure.
So we went on a
like Beetlejuice. Sure.
Friday or Saturday. We went on a busy night that we shouldn't have been going to.
We actually went. It was on a Saturday night, like
Saturday
right after
night.
work.
And this is like the week before Halloween or something like that. So it was
The weekend before, and we blasted
Prime
through
hours.
the line with that.
buy the fast pass.
Yeah,
don't be a cheap
that's
ass.
what it was. Yeah,
Get the fast pass, or you're gonna be waiting like an hour and a half, maybe more.
It was like from when we parked. They're like fast pass right here.
Yep.
we blasted through like 150 people.
We got in there in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
What'd you say? About 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We were also there like about.
We got a picture taken.
We were there about what? Like we were an hour, maybe an hour and a half before close, because we got there about like 10:20, 10:30. They closed at midnight that night. I think so. I could be wrong. Should probably look all this up, but either way.
No, you're right, because at the time I was at a previous F-hole job, and I was getting out at 8 o'clock at night.
That's right.
On Saturdays.
And then after getting ready and all that, we got there around like 10-ish, maybe a little 10 after.
Yeah.
And by the time we got up to get our tickets and all that, we were like, oh, God, I hope this isn't our line.
Yeah.
Fast pass. Got right in. It was dope.
Good weather.
Great weather.
Crisp. Not boiling.
Fairly warm for that time of year.
We talked about it in one of our previous episodes. It was still like in the 60s.
Yeah.
Like even Halloween, like the day of Halloween, was like 68 or something ridiculous.
Because we did our episode. We did our episode 1.666
roundup, and we
days later,
and we made that. I made the comment of like Halloween in July. You know,
so yeah,
regular Necropolis shit. But it was. We took the picture. So let me break it down. So like you go through, and of course, like with all these attractions, especially these haunted attractions here in the Midwest, they got to get their money out of you. So like the concessions, the before and after photo, and
fast pass.
Fast pass. So
very easy to spend like $100 off.
What do we?
Off the bat?
It was like for an 8x10 was $10 each.
I can't. Yeah, because we all put it. 3 of us put in on it together.
Yeah,
and the photo was cool.
$35 or something.
Unfortunately, the photo you and I took with the big monster from Doom at the end of the haunted house, that's kind of like sitting there like a big statue.
Yeah,
which is incidentally the thumbnail for this. That was a cooler photo, I think, that we got to take on our own.
The first one was the pumpkins with me, you, and Jess. Yeah,
which is fine. We had a little memory to say, hey, we were here. But yeah.
But you go in and you already hear ooh. And,
it's very ooh.
Let me say this before I forget. Really good use, Villain, of animatronics.
Yes.
And live actors.
For sure.
Yeah.
So take it away.
So so we got in first, and they have a lot of cool scares.
There's good distance too.
Good distance
between us and other people.
This is another problem with haunted houses. It's like allowing people to get crunched up.
Oh, yeah, it takes away the fear factor.
You're not in a haunted house anymore. You're just in a museum. It's like a torture museum, and you're just watching. You're like, look, I can see them ahead of me doing whatever it is they're doing.
The jump scares.
And it's just like everything's on a loop at that point. It's like a real loop that really sucks. So they were really good. Shout out to Dent Schoolhouse for knowing how to run people through there.
Yeah.
Shout out to that kid that wanted to turn around.
And the parents were like, look, motherfucker.
Look, we in here. we can't turn around.
We up in here and I already... Man, I can't smoke this shit. I'm finna get scared right now.
I'm trying to get lit right now.
She was like, look here, little motherfucker. I already done paid fucking $50 for this shit.
The kid halfway, like literally halfway through the haunted, because there was a basement. You go into the basement.
Yo.
And he was like, I ain't going down there. I don't want to go down. They're like, you better go.
Yeah, they put you down in the basement first.
No. That was, it's...
Ish. No?
Midway through.
Midway through,
because the basement is the cold. That's the creme de la creme.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into here in a minute. But they take you down the basement.
Shivers.
Then you come back up through, and you were in like an outside area. Like, remember the school buses? There's two school buses.
Yeah.
And then they take you through that giant caged area.
Yeah.
And, like most haunted houses, there's a guy with a chainsaw that chases you.
Yeah.
It's pretty dope. The schoolhouse is, you don't go through, unfortunately, there's like a second and third floor. They don't ever take you through those. You go through the first floor. You go through the basement.
The outside, I want to take a moment to say the outside is pretty menacing. It looks like a building that's 100 years old or more.
I mean, the legend's from the early 1900s, so it's at least 100 years old.
Yeah, and it's backlit with red lights, and you're just, even when you're waiting online, you hear like all this fog coming out of it and stuff.
Remember, before you go in, they take you through. There's like they set up a little fake carnival with little booths, and it's all just like clowns getting killed and murdered and all. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, in the beginning.
That extends out to like during their peak hours. That extends out to like the line. But anyway,
shout out to Carnival. Old school
game. Shooter game in the wake of House of the Dead
and Area 51 as well.
Absolutely.
So highlights. My thing was the meat, like the going through the gore, the meat thing, which was actually just an air mattress.
Yeah, an air mattress.
For all this shit that was pasted on.
Basically, what PBK is talking about. So yeah, we both have like a favorite room, I guess. Yeah. Well, is that your favorite room? Is that one of your?
There was the clown room that just was freaking out on. That was a sick room.
What PBK is talking about is in haunted houses they usually do this thing where they blow up like an airbag.
Yeah,
really big. So that when you go through it,
that was my first time going through
it's like the Michelin Man is trying to have sex with you.
Yeah,
and this one cleverly turned it into a floor level thing.
Yeah,
with guts and gore all over on top. So although you're walking through like an airbag,
I mean it was like 4 feet
on
tall.
Top, you're touching it, and you're like, oh my god, this is gross.
Yeah.
And
you got to squeeze through it.
You have to squeeze through it.
Yeah.
And somebody's waiting for you somewhere around there. We won't tell you where, but it definitely happens.
Gore Lord.
My favorite room.
Wizard of Gore.
Yeah, I'm going to say my favorite room is definitely the basement. But my second favorite room was the waltzing hall, where you get in there and there's somebody playing the piano at the top and you can see all those people covered in sheets.
There was somebody hanging for real, right?
No. It's all like looks like people are dancing, but they're all mannequins,
right,
with sheets over them.
Tourist trap.
You can hear like the fugue and D minor music or whatever they're playing.
Yeah,
and somebody's in there. It's dope. It's like the atmosphere is great. That's another good thing they do. Use of like space and changing the atmosphere.
There was a dinosaur,
room,
right?
There was a dinosaur,
like a T-Rex.
The clown room that Jess couldn't handle. That was pretty cool.
That was nuts.
Really high ceilings and shit too.
The basement ceiling was high with the guys getting electrocuted. There were like hung people, kind of like in Iron Maidens, but with sacks over their heads and faces.
It's an old ass basement too, because it's a dirt floor basement.
There's a lot of stuff where you got to push through these like hanging like sacks of meat and stuff. I think wasn't there like a freezer too. Yeah. Like an abattoir.
Yeah. The slaughterhouse.
The basement had like a bad kid getting a pencil in his eye or something.
Yeah.
That animatronic thing. The pencil sharpener.
The pencil sharpener, yeah.
Yeah, the classroom.
Remember the guy? Went overhead. Totally got us.
That was like a hallway.
It was like right in the beginning. And like you walk in and you're like, okay. And then this dude just flies above you because he's like not taped. He's rigged up to the ceiling so that he goes
he's
across
on,
on like a line.
And he brushes your head.
Brushes your head. And you're like, oh my God. And so they don't touch you there. I mean, there's
that's
definitely
the thing. Yeah,
there's definitely some leeway. They can tell
touch,
who they can go up to and really close and who can't. It's not one of those. You're not going to get a lawsuit there. Any of that bullshit.
People in the walls too. I noticed they have things set up so you could kind of look.
Yeah.
And then a hand will grab you. I saw a couple of the performers coming in and out of the doors as well.
Right.
I mean, it's got to be fun as shit to work there.
Yeah, I bet it's a great time for sure. Yeah. I've never worked in a haunted house before, but I always wanted to for that alone.
Oh, and we forgot the. Do you want to get wet or do you want to bypass that?
So yeah, at the end,
that wasn't so bad. I thought it was going to get blood splatter. Or something.
So I've been there multiple times over the years, and I guess that's a fairly new thing. At the end, there's like a cage they run you through.
The car wash of hell.
They used to have it be a little bit different. I can't really remember. It kind of changes up year to year.
All right.
This year, it's like a foam party. They're blowing foam bubbles everywhere, and I guess the theme is like toxic sludge because everything's green.
Yeah.
But
I think there were some mannequins and hazmat suits.
But really, it's just
cages.
like, do you want to get wet? Because you walk through it and you're like, oh wow, my pant legs are soaked.
The suds, my feet were soaked.
So in October, when it's 70 degrees, it's not that bad idea. But if it's cold, they're not going to be doing that.
No,
they're going to be like, this is stupid.
No.
To be honest, it's not even that cool.
No.
It's like maybe it's for younger kids who are like, yeah, this is cool because I've been scared out of my wits for the past 20 minutes. But
I say it was long.
Yes.
Even with the fast pass, I think it was like a full 30 minutes.
I think that's what they average it at.
A lot of stuff,
Walking through at the pace they want you to go through, it's going to take about 25 to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Because you go through.
Worth every penny.
They go you through there like a labyrinth, and they have you go downstairs, and then you come outside and do the same thing.
Yeah.
So I think it was probably, because we left around like 11. And with the line and all that in tow, it was like, that's about 40 minutes altogether going through the line and going through the house and then leaving.
Was there a werewolf thing in there?
I think there may have been.
Any werewolves?
I don't see. That's nothing. They do change aspects of it up year to year to keep it fresh, which is always cool, because you don't ever want to be like, and then this is going to happen, and then we're going to walk through here. And you always want to have
the diehards. They'll be anticipating all those moves,
and those are the two people who ruin it.
Like, and then we had our Doom.
This isn't very much different from last year, so I don't know.
All the HKs at the convention. And you said that guy wasn't the Stars from Resident Evil.
No, so
he's from Doom.
The picture that we took is from Doom.
I put that on my Instagram.
I think it is like Hell Knight or Demon Knight is the name of the creature.
He's got no lips.
He's got he's super buffed out.
He's grilled to perfection,
and he's ready to eat you and me alive.
It was a good vinyl paper mache thing that stood like 10 feet.
Lighting was dope.
The lighting was good, and I want to say overall, the beginning of the line, like outside, and then the buses, and then the outside part where the foam cannon party is from hell. Those were pretty long too. Yeah. Like I said, even just the outside trails were very, very long.
The school bus thing's really cool.
Yeah.
Because they do the same. It's every year they do it, but it's creepy because they
Mutilated kids.
They take you out of this door, and it looks like you're in a parking lot where two buses are preventing you from going anywhere.
Sure.
And they're just honking, which is so loud, and you're like, oh my God, you can't answer, bang, 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 and then you know something's going to get you, which they do, but they have you walk in between
Reggie's
them.
back.
And that really makes the haunted house that much longer, because you're like, I mean, they're parked pretty close to the wall, and you're just going through it.
And one of the drivers was not a dummy.
No.
It was a live dude.
Live-ass dude in there. But yeah.
So, I was going to say, Reggie's back.
Reggie's back.
You being a local, maybe you want to illuminate us on the lore.
So
this whole thing.
This is another weird thing. So shout out to disrespecting the dead, because the Dent Schoolhouse is a haunted house built on
Don't curse the dead.
What is a local, I hate to call it a myth because I believe it's true. Like it's been proven this was an actual case that
more
happened.
than urban legend.
So in PBK, enlighten me or indulge me here if you could look up the actual year while we're doing this.
I got Wes Craven. Let me see.
Just look up
maybe the Dent Schoolhouse
Massacre or Dent Schoolhouse Legend.
Yeah.
So here in the Necropolis in Cincinnati, Ohio, on the west end of town, there is the Dent Schoolhouse, which was erected probably some point in the 1800s and served as a schoolhouse for elementary and possibly, maybe all the way up to high school for all I know back then, children. And I think it's after World War One, perhaps before World War Two, or maybe after World War Two. At some point,
Nothing on Wikipedia.
A bunch of children went
going.
missing.
Yeah.
And this was like over time. So like over months out of a year, certain kids would go missing
You think
and disappear.
I think that you said after World War II?
At some point, this is some point before 1950, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that for sure.
So these kids start going missing in the Dent schoolhouse. Yeah. And because back then, a lot of people said children go missing for various reasons. And I think these kids were all within like the 9 to like 13-year-old range.
Oh, it's terrible.
And basically, without knowing the real evidence to the story, they were like, I think it has something to do with the janitor, this old guy. Who is in the haunted house? There's somebody always dressed up as him, either walking around outside or actually walking around in the house itself. This janitor who lived he lived shortly, close to the school, and he worked in the basement. I believe he was under suspicion for doing this because a lot of these kids went missing, I believe, on school grounds.
This is very tricky.
Or that was the last spot that they were seen.
Yeah.
Long story short, I think this guy either skips town before they find out, or they're on to him and he decides to skip town.
Right.
They found, I believe it's like 5 or 6 bodies in the basement of the Dent schoolhouse. Mm. They found them bodies were in the wall, dissolving in like oil drum canister things.
Yeah.
And these are,
involving a murderous janitor and missing kids.
Yes. So, like I said, this guy got away with this. He was never brought to trial, as far as I know, or at least not for the killing. And he's got to be dead now, obviously. Mm-hmm. But his
trick-or-treat guy, trick-or-treat bus driver,
he got away with it, and he's nowhere to be found. And it's pretty much 99.9% sure this was the guy who did it. And with that being said, I don't know this for sure, and there's no way I can prove this.
Well, I'm gonna somehow fact check some. You pretty much hit the nail on most of the things with the dates, and so here in the Necrop in 1894, the Dent Public Schoolhouse was open.
There you go.
All kids, all grades rather, kindergarten through 12 were taught. Blah blah blah, and then in 1942, several students known for the disruption. This is classic the way they put it. Disruption in the classroom mysteriously vanished. 2 years later, 1945, 4 students went missing in October. These kids were deemed runaways.
Right,
Rumors
I remember
started to spread. Local children disappearing has something to do with the school. Then it remained a normal, quote unquote, until 1952, when 3 more students were not seen after school. They began to complain about a strange smell.
So many smells.
That was coming from the basement. When Charlie, the head of janitorial services, Chainsaw Charlie, was asked about the smell, he said it was the pipes clogging up, which we read last time.
Right.
After a couple of weeks, the smell subsided. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, brilliantly said, in the 50s. In October of 55, more than 7 students vanished without a trace. Once again, local kids complained about the smell emanating from the basement, causing some children to pass out. The community members of Dent rallied together and stormed up to the school. Angry mob bust down. I'll bust them in the damn head. Down the large doors of the schoolhouse and proceeded to go, like Joey Ramone, into the basement. The local rioters were shocked at the grilled to perfection sight that was strung throughout the janitor's basement.
Oh, wait.
And the basement was covered with decaying remains of missing students. They had been sealed in barrels, like you said, wedged behind the brick walls of the basement, and left in sanitary tubs to decay forever. A search for Charlie went over 2 weeks, but he was never found. The school was closed shortly after the discovery. And, of course, the tagline is that the school is still seen or taken care of by Charlie the janitor, and his body was never found, and but his spirit is still said to clean the old building. The spirit is also said to have taken care of local trespassers that try to sneak. And I'm a pretty science over religion guy mostly, but I don't want to take my chances with this stuff either.
Negative.
So negative. But we did want to say that Villain, you brought this up as I fact checked this. So Wes Craven is from Cleveland, Ohio.
Yes.
So, and then we know that Springwood, Ohio, where they actually shot the house where it's shot is in L.A.
It's in L.A.
Which is
There's
funny.
A big giant palm tree when Johnny Depp and what's her face, Nancy are talking,
and it's crazy because it's this one street. If you watch any of the special features of the first
so
one,
many movies too.
It's just so many movies, and it's literally like bordered by like Rodeo Drive and like some other big thing. But
so anyway,
it looks like any Midwestern town in America.
What we're talking
in LA.
about here.
The correlation
is the correlation between this story, the Dent Schoolhouse story about Charlie, the janitor,
and the Dread Rick story,
and the story connected to possibly Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of correlations here. So we've got janitor at Dent Schoolhouse, and janitor Freddy Krueger, whatever you want to call him. Yeah. He works in like a janitorial capacity. We also have
in the original they don't do they?
He works in. He lives or works in a boiler room. And let's be honest, anyone who lives or works somewhere like that is probably some sort of custodial person.
Sure.
With that being said, the boiler room looks very much like the Dent Schoolhouse basement. Maybe not in the movie, but
no.
The whole idea of like the janitor keeping the kids in the room where the boiler is.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, you have the parents who rally together.
Angry mob.
Yeah. We have the Ohio connection. We have the children victims. We have all these things that sound very similar to Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, we know Wes Craven, you said, was from Cleveland, but something like this happened in 1942 and again in 1953.
55.
Wes Craven was probably born in the late 30s, early 40s, I'm assuming.
I got you right
This
now.
would not be...
1939. This would 2015.
This would not be something that couldn't fall on his radar.
Right.
There's a good chance back in that era when news didn't travel that fast.
Yeah.
That maybe it did miss off his radar. But when I get to the pearly gates myself, I would like to ask Wes Craven did you base your part of that story?
I know, right?
On the story of the Dent Schoolhouse. I would like to know what he would have to say. He very well could be like, absolutely not. You're full of it.
Bullshit.
But he at the same time he might be like, oh, how astute of you to understand what I was going for.
Yeah. So yeah, he's from Ohio, like us, and
for all we know, he has somebody that Cleveland is only 4 hours from maybe less.
It's 4.5 if you're gunning it, but yeah, I'd say 5.
About 4 hours here from the Necropolis, and something like this may have been big news back then. For all we know. May have been all over the papers.
In the 50s, sure. The papers.
Yeah. We're on the lookout for a missing janitor who has killed up to 6 children.
So shout out to Wes, who died in 2015 of a brain tumor. And I want to say we all know that he reinvigorated kind of hard. Like he reignited his career with Scream, the first one anyway.
Oh, yeah. So, he set the bar with Nightmare, and then years down the road. Completely set it again with Scream. He's great. And, if the Dent Schoolhouse legend lives on within the spirit of Freddy Krueger, then I guess that's cool too. Yeah. At least in a way to put Necropolis on the map, because the story itself is super boatoed out and fucked.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
I'm kind of okay with that.
But, like I said, it's a little weird going through a haunted house that then they tell you, people died here. This ain't no joke. But it's weird.
The tagline, like our other movie that we're going to review, Super Mario's live action. This ain't no game.
This ain't no game.
Shout out to Goombas that are 9 feet tall with little bean heads.
Yeah.
I did want to give Wes props for obviously Last House on the Left, which was Nevada, the radiation, the bombings and stuff.
Hills That Have Eyes?
Yeah, Hills Have Eyes. Last House on the Left. and
Swamp Thing,
which we'll talk about at a later date and time. He also did The Serpent and the Rainbow.
That's another good one. That's a really
That's
good
a dope one. That's a scare. That cover
That's
for
scary.
that scared the shit out of me. Yeah,
That's dope.
Shout out to Haitian Voodoo.
I'm not dead.
And Bill Pullman was in that, right?
Yeah.
Mad Young. Shocker, which was cheesy.
Ugh.
I remember had Alice Cooper and or rather Megadeth doing a cover of No More Mr. Nice Guy. Vampire in Brooklyn with Eddie Murphy. I didn't know he did that. And more importantly, this is what I wanted to say. Of course, he did the first one, specifically writing and directing the first film. We're talking about Nightmare in '84.
1, 2, Craven's coming for you.
We know Freddy's Revenge is the penultimate gay horror movie, and we love it for that, but not as great as the first or the third one, which incidentally, I'm finding this out for the first time.
Top tier.
Dream Warriors, serving as a co-writer and a producer, and then the seventh, Wes Craven's.
I didn't know he had anything to do with the third one, other than just
I thought he just did
picking
the
up a check.
first one, and then he was like, "All right, do whatever you want." You know? But anyway, shout out to horror attractions. Halloween, who knows? Before we know it, might be just around the corner again.
Yeah. And if you're ever
shout out to Halloween Kills.
If you're ever in the Necropolis area, please feel free to stop by in the fall. That is,
See you in
or not even any time. Just drive by the Dent Schoolhouse. See if you can hear Charlie skulking around in the basement.
Charlie. And not much unlike Leatherface with his.
God,
he's the loudest dickhead I know.
And that's based off Ed Gein, which you would never know.
Yeah.
So then again, so is our boy, not Buffalo Bill. Well, Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
But also
Reggie O'Bill.
Yeah. But also Anthony Hopkins' character. Hannibal.
Thank you.
Hello, Clarice. And what did multiple makes say to you, Clarice?
He said, "Sir, in the immortal words of JB from the lines that fuck women, man."
Oh, well, thanks again for tuning in here to the
Into the Night podcast.
I have been DJ Villain.
And I've been MC PBK.
And as always, shout outs to the Necropolis, and we'll see you next time.
Make sure you get an Uber if you're stranded on Montgomery Road anywhere.
Y'all guys ever gonna tip 33% on the bill up at Twin Peaks? I think they're gonna call me.
He's like, you think I should give her the secret ingredients to the Reuben pie? Yeah. Paul Rubens pie? What the hell that guy do that was so bad, huh? They ain't supposed to do in a porno theater anyway. Bunch of idiots. I'm out. Peace.